Hello, friends. I'm Larry with Rides Done Right, and I'm with Mackenzie Ancien.
Hi.
And Mackenzie goes by Mac, and so I'm only going to refer to her as Mac.
Yeah.
And it's fun when we talk about you. Mac at the Mac track always comes
Yeah.
up. So, and that's kind of where you cut your teeth, was on a small track. So, let's give a little bit of groundwork here. Mac is one of the top riders at Portland International Raceway. And she races in 600 Supersport, 600 Superbike. And we're going to talk about where it started, though. At what age did you first started riding motorcycles?
My dad got me a bike when I was 4 or 5, a little Pee Wee 50, like the one in my garage. And he kind of just was adamant about me riding it because I wasn't really that into it. And then I just fell in love.
How long before you went riding around the house or out in places and before you got on a track?
He had me riding dirt bikes around the house until I was 8, and then that's when I went to Mac Track.
And so when you went to Mac Track, was it just to do a track day right off the bat, or did you go to the Mac Track and start racing right off the bat?
Well, I don't really remember our agenda. I think he just wanted to get me on a track, kind of get in the racing vibe. And I went with a pocket bike. And I hated it. I hated it so much. I was so attached to my dirt bike that I ended up just racing the dirt bike that day.
So you brought both bikes then and had the dirt bike there?
Yeah.
Was your dad out riding with you then at that time too, or he just brought it just for you and just was there to be your pit crew?
Yeah, he was there to be the pit crew. Actually, when I was a kid, there was a lot of kids racing at Mac Track. So we had like a group of probably 8 kid riders on pocket bikes. And then when I went to my class, there was probably a good amount, like 5 or 6. So when Benny Taylor and Peter Lenz were racing. And
So you went right off the bat on this KX.
KLX 110.
And how did you do that first race?
I got second. It was super cool.
So the first time you go out and race, you get a trophy the very first time.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because obviously they were all boys. And one of the little boys came off the track crying because I beat him. And I didn't really know how to feel about it. I was really excited, but then I kind of felt bad, but knew I couldn't talk to him,
Was this the start of an addiction then? I mean, right off the bat you win and you go, did you tell your dad this is what I want to do, or how did it go?
Yeah, I think that was the start of the addiction for sure.
What was your next bike then? Let's go through your progression at the Mac Track. You started on that KLX, and then what did you do next from there?
From there, we got 2 NSRs. One was a 63 and one was a 50. And then once I turned 11, I think, we went to PIR with an 85. And then I started on the big track.
When did you get your first place trophy?
Actually, I won all my races when I first came to PIR.
Right off the bat?
Yeah.
So how many people were in the class?
Oh, it was a pretty big group. My bike was fast, I will say that. So I think I had a little bit of an advantage.
What were you riding?
It was a 120, it was an 85. So it was a 125 chassis with an 85 motor.
And a 2-stroke then, or What do you remember? What your time was right off the bat?
Not right off the bat because that class wasn't very competitive. It wasn't until the 125s where I started paying attention to times.
So just for a point of reference, the fastest bikes ever on the track, right up to this point, is a 105.2 or something like that, Andy DeBrino. So that's the fastest out there. A super fast time on a 600 is like a 110, something like that, is really hauling. So when you got on this 125, do you remember what times were when you were doing that one?
On my 125, I believe I was doing roughly 20s, so 120s. It wasn't until my 250, so that bike was seizing a lot, so we moved to 4-strokes on my 250 Milwaukee, and then we started doing 16s, 17s.
So then you went from that bike into the 600? Is that what was next?
Yeah, we took a big leap, went straight to the big bike.
And what was that? You were riding an R6 then?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I would have people loan me their 600s even when I was 14. There's some cool photos of me on Brian Rothenberger's 600, so I relatively knew what to expect. Christine Porter let me use her 636 one time. But yeah, my first time riding my own R6 was at Laguna Seca, and I think I was 16.
Do you run for a shift pattern now?
I'm a GP shift.
So when did you start on the GP shift?
When I went to PIR.
So right off the bat, now did you do it on the other bike, or was the R6 the first one you did GP shift on?
No, I started GP shift when I went to the big track, so on the 85 and then the 125 and the Milwaukee.
Wow. So you're real familiar with that. That's all you've been on since then.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's cool. So then you go out and you get an R6, and how did you do that first season running an R6?
I did all right. It was, back in those days, the class was really big, so we had about 20 riders. But I never really got below top 10. I think I got top 5 most of the time, doing around 11s.
Yeah, so 11s, that is hauling. I mean, that's really good. So people that aren't kind of in the know, a 111, yeah, you're kind of saying, oh, that's 111. It's like 111 is hauling at PIR. And then what I do remember is that you went to a Triumph. I think it was last year. Was that your only year you did it? Was last year on the Triumph?
Yeah, so I actually took 4 years off from racing because I played college soccer, and then came back on the Triumph for that year.
Now wait a second. Let's get this straight. So you went to college. You took 4 years off. Why did you stop racing for 4 years?
I didn't want to risk injury, because if I injured myself outside of college soccer, I could risk losing my scholarship. So, and racing, is not the safest sport. So we kind of just focused on school and soccer. And then right when soccer season was over, my dad surprised me with a Triumph, which Fox Schaefer blessed me with. It was pretty amazing.
So 4 years, no racing. You come back after 4 years, no racing, and you go get on this Triumph. And you were taking top 5s, or around 5th was your average. Mm-hmm. But last year I saw you on that Triumph on your first year back, and I was there when you had a spectacular day.
Yeah, the Triumph, it was an amazing bike once we got it handling well. But I remember my first session out after 4 years off, not even understanding why I did the sport. It was so scary. I was like breaking at the start-finish going into one.
I can't believe that was your first, because for me, this would have been my second year going to track days and seeing racing, and to see how fast you were right off the bat. You wouldn't know it from a spectator watching it. So on that day, it was a big day in Omra. Andy DeBrino set the track record on that same day.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was on the podium with that. But I think as equal as the applause was for Andy doing that, when you went up there, this because we were all, I remember I was right there when you came off the track and did this, but then when you went up on the podium as well, and you won in the premier class. And I believe this was the first time at Omra that a female had won premier class.
Yeah, I believe so. I think Fox did some research. Apparently at a national level too. It was the first, which was crazy. I still don't believe it, but
we went crazy there, but where you knew it happened at the pits when we saw that, but when we were at the awards and you saw everybody go crazy, I mean, it was.
And in first place, bike 18, Mackenzie Ancien.
Honestly, after I honestly don't even know why I played college soccer for 4 years. A waste of time. I should have stayed here.
It was cool and made it worth it. Everybody ought to go to the awards when you go to track days. When you go to Omra Racing, go to the awards and watch the racers anyway, because it's a cool, nice vibe anyway. It's just fun. So we say that, and that was a big day, and it's like, how do you top that? Then comes this year, and you changed from the Triumph to an R6 this year.
Yeah.
What was the reason for the change back to an R6?
I think we've just been a Yamaha family. We've always trusted Yamaha, and R6s are amazing machines. So, yeah, we just made the big leap, and it's been quite a year trying to find the right setup and everything, but we finally got it.
I remember when I saw you at the beginning of the year, I had asked you about that, and you said that you were kind of struggling with trying to get it set up, and it wasn't feeling right yet. But a couple of rounds ago, it felt, or was it last round, that it felt really right?
Yeah, it was last round. It felt real good.
So tell me what happened that last round.
Well, we finally turned the right knobs, and the bike didn't want to eject me anymore. So I got my personal best time. I did
Which was a
1093. That was a good feeling. I got third, but I was still really excited because I did a 109.
A 109 on an R6. That blows my mind. So then you have this day where you're out there, and I remember this because you take off and you're with Oliver Jervis, and you guys just you took off like a rocket, and you could tell that you were in it there. You were going to do something that race.
Yeah.
And it kind of did.
Yeah.
You beat Oliver Jervis and won the. Was it? I can't remember which one was first, whether it was Supersport or Superbike.
Oh, I don't remember, but Oliver's shown me. He's taught me so much as a racer. You know, he really showed me what it's like to race with the big dogs, and that race was tough. I had never raced against someone so aggressive, but it was very clean, and so yeah, I'll never forget that race. I didn't know if I was gonna make it off the track.
Well, it was something to see that, and so you then had a weekend where you won on Saturday, both classes, and then you turned around on Sunday and you did it again.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It didn't hit me. It didn't register. Jeremy Coffey had to keep reminding me, Mac, you just won 4 races. But
that's pretty amazing. So you've reached this point of your career at PIR. Let's talk about tracks. What tracks have you been to in the Northwest tracks?
I've actually only been to PIR and Pacific Raceway. And I went to Pacific after the repave, so I don't know how scary it was, but it was so fun.
How did you do the day you went to Pacific?
I mean, I did all right. I had to learn the track in 30 minutes, so that was kind of difficult.
Yeah.
I'd never... it was really difficult because I didn't know when there was going to be a turn. So, but it was a cool experience having kind of all the warmer guys help me out and give me tips.
What did you find the hardest part about Pacific? Because it was tough for me going around 2 when you dive down in 3 and come into that twisty section.
Oh, man.
I had a hard time acclimating to that.
Yeah, I think it was just adjusting to a new track, you know. I took that 4 years off and then went straight to PIR and only stuck to PIR. So trying to take what I've learned from coaches like Devin McDonough and apply it to a new track was probably the most difficult. But I also learned a lot because I was going slower, you know, so kind of just, I think the lines initially was difficult for me.
What were the other tracks that you've been to?
I've been to Laguna Seca, in Fignon. I think it's called Sears Point now. Love that track, so fun. Thunder Hill as well. I went to Road America and had a rough. That was rough.
Road America's a long track.
Yeah, I had a pretty big spill, so hopefully I can redeem myself. I'm still waiting for the day.
You went through all of this and have had that kind of success. You've been on those tracks. Those tracks are actually Moto America tracks now. Have you thought about what comes next for you? Are you gonna hang around PIR next year again, or what are you doing?
You know, that's a really good question. I think I'll definitely do OMRA, if anything. But I think there's something in the works about maybe making a Moto America appearance, which would be pretty cool. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I'd really like to test my skills in that class.
Well, that would be great for us watching, because those in the Northwest, we see how fast you are here, and we love to see our fast people go to Moto America. Andy DeBrino's done it, Jeremy Coffey's done it, Dustin Walbon's done it, all of those people from OMRA.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to see you go into that and have someone else to cheer for.
Yeah, it would be cool to try. I would love it.
Do you have a dream bike in mind that you've always thought, boy, I would love to have this, either for the street or the track? Is there one that you said, boy, sure would love to have that bike?
I have wanted a Panigale since I can remember. I've always, with the Italian colors and everything, always wanted one. I don't want to race it. I want it for the street.
Yeah, that would be a fun bike for the street. Have you got to ride any Ducatis on the street?
Not on the street. I've only ridden at tracks. I rode an 848 one time. It was definitely different. It was heavy. Yeah, honestly, this bike, now that we've got it all dialed in, is freaking amazing. It's so easy to ride. Yeah.
I love that that your dad got the bikes color matched too, so that was pretty cool.
We look like a pro team.
Yeah, you kind of got
It's
that going
it's
on.
so cool. He did such a good job.
Yeah. Well, as a fan, we're looking forward to continuing to watch you and see as you progress and where you're going. And make sure that you guys watch out for the other videos that we're going to do, because in the future, at some point, we're going to do one with Dad, and so we have Chris and daughter together, and that'll be a fun one to check out. And as well, we'll be featuring Chris. So thanks so much for taking the time with us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you guys next time.